The rain lashed against the windows of the old Albuquerque mansion, each drop a tiny drumbeat accompanying Isadora's racing heart. Tonight was the night. Her hands trembled slightly as she clutched the small, cold, intricate silver key, a near-perfect replica she'd commissioned from a discreet blacksmith in the town market. With Colonel Joachim already old and frail, the Baron saw an opportunity to annex the farm to his vast properties. He had made an indecent proposal, an arranged marriage, between himself and Isadora in exchange for the forgiveness of the Colonel estates that had subtly accumulated over the years through obscure transactions facilitated by the Baroness' own thug. Isadora felt the weight of her decision like an overwhelming burden. Each step creaked on the old floorboards, echoing the remorse that gnawed at her from within. Colonel Joachim was sitting in his worn leather armchair, the flickering light of an oil lamp illuminating his pale, tired face. He held an old book in his hands, but his eyes were closed. As she approached the library, she saw a faint light escaping from under the door. Colonel Joachim was still awake. It was another key, older and more worn than the one Isadora held. Isadora refused to be a bargaining chip, to surrender herself to a man who filled her soul with revulsion. He then placed the old key in her hand, closing her hesitant fingers over it. "This is the key to the truth, my child. The other one was merely a decoy to bide time." She remembered his kind smile, his stories by the fireplace, his wise advice. Colonel Joachim, with a final faint breath, murmured, "Use it wisely, my daughter." She looked at the key in her hand, feeling a strange energy coursing through her body. A strange sound echoed through the room, like the grinding of ancient stones moving. His head fell to the side, and his eyes closed forever. Isadora, with the old key firmly in her hand, knew what to do. Fate had turned at the very last second, not to forgive her betrayal, but to give her a second chance. An opportunity to honor the love of the one who had trusted her until the very end. Now, her fight was no longer for her freedom, but for justice and for the memory of her beloved Colonel. That key didn't open the safe. It opened the secret passage, the true hiding place of the farm's deed. A wave of guilt washed over her, almost making her give up. The betrayal she was about to commit weighed on her like a curse. The library door burst open with a crash, revealing the imposing and threatening figure of Baron Almeida, accompanied by his truculent thugs. The tapestry behind the Colonel's desk had slid aside, revealing a secret passage, previously hidden from everyone's eyes. She raised her hand to place the key on the table beside him, when his eyes slowly opened. But the fear of the Baron, the vision of her bleak future, propelled her onward. Her target, the safe, hidden behind the faded tapestry in Colonel Joachim's library. Her guardian, and the only man who had truly loved her unconditionally. Inside lay the deed to the Santa Helena farm, the only thing that could free her from the clutches of Baron Almeida. The Baron, a man of shadowy reputation and voracious ambition, had cast his cruel eyes upon the fertile lands of the Albuquerque family. He looked directly at her, and for an instant, Isadora thought she saw sadness, but it was quickly replaced by an unexpected serenity. Colonel Joachim, his health rapidly declining, saw the despair in Isadora's eyes. He loved her like a daughter, ever since he had taken her in as an orphan child. She had found an emissary of the Baron, a sneaky man with viperous eyes, and offered him the safe esky in exchange for his promise to spare her from the marriage, and to give her a small sum to restart her life far away. It was a bitter betrayal, a stab in the back of the one who had always protected her. But in her desperation, it seemed like the only way out. He had dedicated himself to her education, to her dreams, and he could not bear the thought of seeing her subjugated by the Baron. In a moment of weakness and desperation, he had confided a secret to her. The original deed to the farm was not in the safe, but hidden in a secure location, known only to him. The safe's key, however, held a promise, a false document that would buy Isadora time to find the true deed, and use it to protect their lands. But time was running out. The Baron had set a deadline. The forced marriage was approaching, and Isadora, consumed by fear and pressure, had made a terrible decision. As she moved silently through the dim corridors of the house, she hesitated for an instant. She opened the library door with the utmost care, the latch emitting an almost inaudible click. Isadora approached hesitantly, the key hidden in the palm of her hand. He seemed so frail, so vulnerable. A faint but piercing glint appeared in his tired blue eyes. Without a word, Colonel Joachim extended his trembling hand and took a small object that lay on the table, hidden by the shadows. In a faint voice, he said, "Isadora, my dear, I always knew your heart and your fears." At that exact moment, Before Isadora could comprehend the meaning of those words, or the weight of her near betrayal, thunder roared outside, shaking the walls of the mansion. "The deadline is over, Colonel," growled the Baron, his eyes fixed on Isadora with possessiveness. "The girl will be mine." Colonel Joachim, despite his fragility, straightened in his armchair, a defiant glint in his eyes. "You will take nothing from here, Baron." As the Baron's thugs advanced, Isadora, still stunned by the revelation of the true key, the pain of loss mingled with the shame of her near betrayal and a newfound determination. In the very last second, as the thugs were about to grab her, a strong wind swept into the library, extinguishing the lamp and plunging the room into darkness. When the faint moonlight entering through the window once again revealed the interior of the library, the scene had transformed. The Baron and his men stopped, dumbfounded. With a courage she didn't know she possessed, Isadora ran towards the passage, disappearing into the darkness before the Baron and his thugs could react. Did this longer story captivate you? If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and liking our content. It helps us bring more compelling stories to life.